What is going on, everyone? 2Blocks99 here with the start, the intro, the prologue, and to our prequels. And that title sequence moves way too fast, but that's the only one I fucking have. So hopefully when I start my prequels, it won't move that fucking fast and you can actually read it. Before I even start, I just like to say, YouTube, don't do me dirty. It belongs to Lucasfilms. John Williams made the music. Come on. I'm using it for fun. All the characters in this are for fun. Don't fucking copyright me. I love you. Thank you. Now it's said these are my rules and such for fixing the prequels. So, let's fix the prequels. Also, another point I want to add is I like the prequels. I enjoy them. I felt like the story was there. It just wasn't delivered. He had all the keys he needed, but he just didn't deliver it. Phantom Menace, I didn't like that. Attack of the Clones, I could deal with it. Some of the romance was forced, but I could deal with it. Revenge of the Sith, I very much enjoyed it. And obviously I put The Force Awakens over them. Some people don't, but I do. I put The Force Awakens over them. So, just wanted to get that out of the way. I don't hate on the prequels by any means necessary. I just felt like I could do them better. Let's get into it. So, as you can see here, rules 1 through 5. We got no Meadows, no Metachlorians. Get them out of here, George. We need a Metachlorian count. The fuck is a Metachlorian? Get them out, George. Get them the fuck out. Alright? Darth Maul is the main villain. Alright? George, come on. You're gonna kill the guy who saved your fucking movie, really? That's what you're gonna do? You're gonna cut him in half, and then when the cartoon comes out, you're gonna bring him back with robotic legs and be like, yeah, couldn't do it in the movie, but hey, at least he's in the cartoon. Go fuck yourself, George. That's one thing. Go fuck yourself. Alright, no, I'm just kidding. I love you, George. But come on. That was a real fuck up, and that really is what turned a lot of people off from the prequels just from the start. So it will match up to the originals when all said and done, and my prequel trilogy has been told to y'all through boring prologues of me talking and random still pictures of the characters, which hopefully the story will be interesting enough that won't matter, but it will make sense. It'll make sense. Alright, rule number 4, it's gonna make sense. An example will be when Yoda says that boy is our only hope. When Obi-Wan says that boy is our only hope, and Yoda goes, there is another. Well, when George remade the prequels, Obi-Wan knew there was another because he was there in the birth. George, all you had to do was not allow him in the fucking room. Alright, and I'll expand on that when I get to Revenge of the Sith, but that's something I'm gonna fix. And I'm not gonna rush everybody into their positions for A New Hope in the last 5 fucking minutes of Revenge of the Sith. No, I planned ahead. There's going to be a special that would air on the TV if this alternate universe where I was in charge of the prequels existed. There would be a special explaining what happened after Revenge of the Sith, but that won't be for a while. I'm getting ahead of myself. In 5, let's have fun. And now, into the episode 1 poster. Alright, but here is the episode 1 poster. The Clone Wars have begun is our tagline. Star Wars Episode 1, Birth of the Clones. It's kind of small on my screen, so I'm not sure if there's a period after Star Wars. I hope there's not. And it's probably just one of the soldiers things. I can't tell. But we have Separatist clones on the left, Republic clones on the right, and this figure that I'll get into in the middle, who won't be promptly displayed in the movie, but I put him on the cover because I thought it would be a cool addition to have someone kind of in the middle of them. And then we have 2 clone commanders from the Clone Wars. I can't remember their names. Maybe they weren't commanders, but I'm trying to point to their names. I'm only on season 4, so I actually probably haven't met them yet, but I probably have. I just can't remember their names. Darth Maul, a Republic ship that the Jedi used in the prequels. Alderaan, a TIE fighter way in the back there. Padme, Sidious, Padawan, I almost said Padme Anakin. Padawan Anakin, and Obi-Wan in the middle. Holy shit, Jay, you almost fucking ruined your entire story. Ignore that. I'm just joking. Everyone knows where the fuck this story's going. So, Obi-Wan will be the person we see it through. We're stealing something from belated media. I'm sorry, but you guys had such a good point. Obi-Wan should be the person we follow. Though trilogy should be about a broken friendship, but Obi-Wan should kind of be the person we see it through. Revenge of the Sith, we might rev it a little bit more towards Anakin to kind of show him go to the dark side, but Obi-Wan will be the character we follow for most of the prequels. Unlike George's, where it goes Obi-Wan, then little boy Anakin, then Qui-Gon, then Obi-Wan, then little boy Anakin, then Attack of the Clones, it goes Anakin, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Obi-Wan. Then Revenge of the Sith, it goes Anakin, 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 Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Anakin, Yoda, Yoda, Chewbacca. Alright? We're following Obi-Wan, and when Revenge of the Sith comes around, it'll be Anakin and Obi-Wan back and forth. Alright? So the background intro to my galaxy far, far away is the Separatist clones and the Republic clones. Hence the Clone Wars. Clones on both sides, the Clone Wars. In that middle, the figure in the middle with the army suit is a 16-year-old Boba Fett. He would be featured if this was a full-length movie, and a split screen of them taking the DNA from him, and then a split screen of them taking the DNA from Jango Fett, his brother. What have you done? I made them brothers. But Jango's much older, being around 32 when he'll first appear in my prequels, whereas Boba, when Jango first appears, will be about 18. Now, Birth of the Clones takes place in the first year of the Clone Wars, but it wasn't called the Clone Wars, it's called like, they're trying to battle the Separatists and it's to stop the Separatist movement. There's no name for the war yet until the Birth of the Clones, then people start calling it the Clone Wars in the galaxy. But that is the first year. Then, there's a 2-year gap in between that and my episode 2, and then there's a 3-year gap in between episode 2 and my episode 3. Alright? And then one key point that you need to know going into these prequels is Qui-Gon found Obi-Wan as he found Anakin in George's prequels. And just like the original trilogy says, Yoda trained him, but only because Qui-Gon convinced him. Qui-Gon was a father figure. If it wasn't for Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan wouldn't be a Jedi. And Obi-Wan looks up to Qui-Gon for that. He sees him as a father figure. He loves Qui-Gon, okay? And I probably have already set up something big, or you guys probably already know where that's going, but yeah, he loves Qui-Gon. If it wasn't for Qui-Gon, Yoda wouldn't have trained him because of all the things he said about Luke in Empire. And then Obi-Wan goes, was I that different? And that's kind of how we get that part to make sense in the originals, by this little prologue here, okay? And obviously the movie starts where Obi-Wan's already been trained by Yoda, and Anakin's his Padawan. Bang! Episode 2. What are you doing? Well, this brings me to another point in my prologue. The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels don't exist in this alternate universe, because they didn't exist when he was making the prequels. They existed way after the prequels because, well, Rebels just started, and the Clone Wars existed after the prequels because save the prequels. Great show, by the way. Amazing show. Check it out on Netflix if you haven't. But this was my favorite storyline in that show, and I'm only on season 4, so I haven't seen too many of them, but this is my favorite one so far. So I use this as an outline for my episode 2. It is not an exact copy. Very similar things happen as it is an outline for it. But I love the fact that Mortis shows Anakin his future and all that stuff, and I think that's a really cool thing to add in episode 2, especially after the way episode 1 seems to be directing. And the way episode 2 will kind of start directing. You'll be starting to think that I'm fucking up the entire prequels worse than George did. And like I said, I do like the prequels, so I don't think they were terribly, terribly bad. But yes, he really, really could have done better. And that's why I'm fixing them. But I don't have what culture WWE's little I'm a smart ass thing, but that's what I was going for. So going over the poster is, first off, no Maul, and that was one of my guidelines. I'm breaking another one of my guidelines this early, just like the Boba Fett guideline. It's not really being broken. If you look closely, you'll see what Maul's faith is in episode 2. And I won't point it out when I go over the poster because it'll give away a huge plot line, and I've probably already given away some pretty big ones and some that you probably saw coming before this even happens. Boba on one side, now 18. Rex in the middle because I wanted a clone that's recognizable in the middle for something that's going to happen in this movie. And Jango on the right. Now I could have had Rex and say a Separatist clone, but since I only have the pictures of, I think they're like Fallout 4 soldiers, I didn't really know how to get another picture like Rex close up like that. So that's that. Ahsoka. She will be Anakin's Padawan in this, and you'll figure out how he was assigned her and how she's able to already have the lightsabers and seem to already be in the midst of training with him. And that'll be explained. It makes sense once episode 1 comes out and is done. Obi-Wan from the Clone Wars on the left, because this takes place in the middle of the Clone Wars, precisely 3 years into it, the halfway mark, just like in the show. Anakin, Clone Wars, Mortis's little created world there and a ship, and of course the son of Mortis with his big ugly face, kind of like in a Vader-esque from, I think it was the Empire poster where you just see Vader's face in the background, or maybe it was Jedi. I'm not too sure what poster it was. I'm probably really stupid for thinking it was one or the other. Who knows? But that's why I kind of did with Mortis's head there. And now we move on to the one that was considered the best of a bad situation in the prequels, Revenge of the Sith. And we keep the name because I like the name. I think it was pretty good. Alright? And not to say I didn't like the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. They were good names. But for my stories, I felt I kind of had to change them. So obviously, it's not a starry background, and it's not a dreary starry background. And quick jump back here, just in case I didn't mention it, because I've been talking, whoever's watching this ears off for the past 10 minutes. It is the Shroud of Dark Side has fallen is the tagline for that. So just in case I didn't mention it. But jumping back to this one, the tagline, it's a double tagline. As you can see, the title sequence is even different. So every trilogy has a beginning, and obviously what you could probably piece together there is you see the Vader mask with Hayden Christensen's Anakin's face there, kind of like dissolving into it. So you can kind of guess I'm implying that that is the start of the original trilogy, because Vader was the main villain in that original trilogy. So every trilogy has a beginning. And down here is where it gets sad, and you can tell that this movie is really gonna be the home run for the emotional hit of the trilogy that I'm creating. Every friendship has an end, and Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight. The fight I will change, not too much, mostly the dialogue, and I'm gonna take out some of the scenes. But Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The Death Star plans on the hologram. Yoda, Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, and Sidious. And as Darth Maul's on this poster, that obviously gives away right away that he survives my trilogy. So there will be no is he dead, is he not things here, because I wanted to put him in the poster. I felt like he needed to be in the poster to really drive it home. Have the 2 Siths in the poster and the one who will replace the obvious Sith, Darth Maul. He's going to replace Darth Maul, obviously. You saw that coming from a mile away there as well. Obi-Wan and kind of like the start of his old Herman when he delivers Anakin in the George's prequels. Just the best picture of Padme I could really get. I wanted a different one, but that's the best picture I could really get. And Yoda using the Force, because of my prequel trilogy, I'm going to try to stray away from him with the lightsaber. I'm going to try to have him use the straight up Force. It was really awesome when he fought Dooku, don't get me wrong, that was awesome. But The original trilogy portrays him as really powerful with the Force and a Jedi Master who really didn't fight unless the threat was that bad. That's why he's only on the poster of Episode 3, because it's Sidious. It's that bad. So, that's all. And I think I've chewed your guys' ears off for a good 15 minutes, and I'm very sorry for that. But this was the prologue, and the fucking ramblings of Episode 1, Episode 2, and Episode 3 were probably combined for 4 hours. So, for my 3 viewers, I'll probably only get 1 view on each, because no one wants to sit through that. If you're my friend, you better fucking sit through it. Don't be an asshole. But, I'm done chewing your ear off. Thank you guys for joining me for the prologue, or prelogue, whatever you call it, into my galaxy far, far away, as I attempt to recreate the prequels just a little bit better than they were. A lot better. Okay, really, really better. Okay, I'm talking enough. Bye!